So, I thought I'd make a little bit of a longer video this time because I keep running out of time in these little short things. But just the last couple of weeks just been an absolute whirlwind, haven't they, really? I mean, there's a few things going on. So, we start off with all this net zero crap, shall we? Obviously, as far as I'm concerned, there ain't no climate crisis. The Earth looks after itself. If we think we're more powerful than Mother Earth, we're in trouble because, I mean, she's kept it going for a few million years, hasn't she? Let's face it. We had a couple of ice ages, a couple of dry periods. The world's moved about, tectonic shift and all that sort of stuff. All the clever people will tell you all about that. But ultimately, the Earth's pretty much maintained its viability for us to live on it quite a while, all of its own. We haven't had to do too much to it. But apparently all of a sudden, there's this crisis. It says, oh yeah, just because, people drive to school or whatever they do. Yeah, it's destroying the planet. Yeah. I mean, flying private jets about to go to press conferences and WF meetings and all the rest of it, that don't do no damage at all, obviously. That's just silly, Steve. That's silly. To think that you actually, anything could be a problem, using private jets and, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, no, that doesn't affect carbon. That actually reduces carbon. Because Ed Miliband leans out the window with a big oxygen tank and just blows it into the air as he's flying to make up for the carbon. See, apparently. And Keir Starmer, right? Obviously Keir Starmer, when he always makes sure he's environmentally friendly when he's meeting with his Ukrainian friends, the lads that he loves. And when they set his house on fire and his car's on fire, obviously they don't use carbon heavy accelerants. They always make sure they're recyclable. They always throw the rubbish in the bins afterwards. So they don't have any impact at all. But your average working person, they do have an impact on carbon. So we got to do something about that. So they've been putting out these massive, great solar fields. I don't know if you've seen them. Drive anywhere now, and all of a sudden you see fucking fields of these things. Carbon panels. Carbon panels are all made in China. We don't make them. We make them in China. So they make them in China, the most polluting country in the world. Make them over there. Energy to produce them is from coal-fired stations. It's not from carbon neutral stations or whatever they want to call it. All coal-fired. They make them, then they put them on these fucking great boats and they float them across the sea. They come over here and then they cover our countryside. So they kill everything, all the wildlife, all the plants, the lot. They put them all in there. Cost millions, absolutely millions. Across the world they're doing it, not just us. Across the world they're trying to do it. These panels, I mean, they're pathetic. It's like sticking some AA batteries on it. It's fucking useless. Their contribution to the grid is negligible, right? One nuclear power station, that's it. Wipes the bloody lot out. We don't need them. But we can't have nuclear because some green twat will tie himself to a tree where they're going to build it and pretend he's a bird or something. Pathetic. So they build all these panels to cover all the ground. They're digging up the earth. They're making Britain and every other country look like a shithole with these things. Spent all millions with the infrastructure, everything else, all for next to nothing coming out of these bastards. And let's face it, in Britain, we could do with a bit of global warming if there's ever such a thing, because we don't see the sun more than a couple of months a year. Anyway, all these panels going down. 10 years down the line, if we're lucky, they'll last. 10 years, that's it. After that, got to replace them. What they do with them? Well, they're not recyclable, you see. So what they do is they dig a big fuck off hole somewhere, and they chuck them all in there. Probably go on a big boat to go there. Then they get chucked in the hole, and they fill the hole in. Oh, very environmentally friendly. I mean, the council get pissy if I put a milk bottle in my bin, and there they are chucking these fucking 180 foot long bloody solar panels in the crapper sort of thing, and these wind turbines as well. Exactly the same wind turbines everywhere, fucking killing all the birds and doing next to nothing for the planet. Anyway, so in the last 10 years, you've got to spend it all again. So we're going to bankrupt ourselves, make China very rich. They must be chuffed to bloody bits. He's laughing all the way to the bank, isn't he? Make them very rich. We go bust. 10 years down the line, we've got to do it all again, go bust again. So we're never going to have any fucking money. In the meantime, they're going to have to ration the energy because obviously they don't produce enough energy. There's no way they're going to ever produce enough energy from net zero means. It's just simple as that. They're never going to produce it. So what they're going to do then, I guarantee it, your smart meters, all you mugs that have smart meters, they're going to say to you, right, Steve, you're going to have to, you can have electric between 9 and 12. Aside from that, we're going to switch you off. And you'll go, no, I need electric 24/7. And they go, fuck off, press a button, and you'll be switched off. Simple as that. They can ration you. See, in the old days, if they wanted to try and ration electric, they had to appeal to your better nature and say, look, we got a bit of a problem because you use a bit less, don't boil the kettle so often, switch your hot tub off, don't use your air conditioning, you know, try to do things like they do with the water rations, you know, before water meters, water rationing, they had to say to you, oh, please don't use your hose pipe, and they had to hope that you would not want to do it and that your neighbours might grass you up and so you can get nicked. But with smart meters, they don't need to do any of that. They just say, well, we're going to stop them using the electric at certain times of the day. Okay, press a button, the whole fucking grid goes down for that particular area. And that's it. You get no choice. So you could be in the middle of a meeting and your electric goes off. It ain't going to come back on for 6 hours. Well, what do? You sit there in the dark. Simple as that. You've got no choice. Unless you go out and buy yourself a generator like I did. Put your generator on. Which is obviously less carbon neutral at all, because obviously I run it on nice clean petrol and I like to run it at top whack regardless, just always pumping out the maximum it can do if I ever use it. But there we go. It doesn't work, does it? It's just going to cost millions of pounds. We're all going to go bust. The next thing they want to introduce is a carbon passport. So when you want to go on holiday, you turn up, they say, before you go, we need to check your carbon passport, make sure you haven't spent too much. They go, look at it, oh, you run a petrol car. Sorry. You can't travel any more than 100 miles on holiday this year. Where are you going to go? Weston-super-Mare? I mean, this is the reality of it. If they introduce something like that, you're not going to be able to go anywhere. And if you do, it's because they say you can go somewhere. Not because you want to go somewhere. If they say you're allowed, well, hold on a minute. This is the West. This ain't communist China. This ain't Russia. No one owns where I want to go or what I want to do. That's how we are in the West. We can do what we want when we want. We stay within the law. But aside from that, we got freedom. Well, we're supposed to have. So that's the next thing they want to do. All in the name of this net zero bullshit they're coming out with, which have been disproven by so many reputable scientists. The only ones that say there's a climate crisis, the ones that are paid to say there's a climate crisis. Have a look. Find a paper where someone isn't paid to say it. Find plenty of papers by people that aren't paid to say anything, and they will come down on the side of no climate change is happening. Loads of it. Why is the Antarctic 18% bigger than it was 10 years ago? If there's global warming, it shouldn't be, obviously. But the landmass of Antarctica and the Arctic is 18% higher than it was 10 years ago. Explain that. The Great Barrier Reef, 20 years ago, they said it was dead. It was dying. Finished. It wouldn't last. Nowadays, the Great Barrier Reef is so recovered, it's absolutely flourishing. It's fantastic, the Great Barrier Reef now, compared to what it was 20 years ago. Mother Nature's dived in and sorted it out. Nothing to do with us. We ain't me. Don't believe the bullshit. Oh, yeah, we're the government and we've done this bollocks. Governments don't do anything. Governments just talk a lot of bollocks, like I do. But they don't do anything. They don't make any changes. Nothing happens because of a government. It happens because of people around the area being a bit more careful, maybe. It doesn't happen because of government policy. It doesn't happen because you have less flights there or people don't drive their cars so much. It just happens because nature says, oh, we got a bit of a problem here, we'll sort it out. And she sorts it out. So the climate agenda is just bollocks. And that comes into EVs, right? Just get it through your head. If a product was good, they could sell them. If you've got a good product, it sells. If someone enjoys it, they sell. Look at those stupid spinny things the kids were buying years ago. Load of shit, tiny little things. Mate of mine was buying them. They were 35 pence in China each, 35p. Market stall, £5 each. The kids couldn't get enough of them. He became a millionaire through spinners. And before that, he was selling the trainers that light up when you walk. Again, made in China. I think he told me he was paying something like £8.50 a pair. And he was selling for 40 quid a pair. And again, he'd have a container in on a Monday. By the Friday, he needed another one. He was emptying the bloody thing out. It was absolutely crazy. And people will buy a product that they enjoy or that they look forward to, that they can get excited by. Electric cars excite no one but weirdos, really. I mean, there's something to be said about, yes, for around town, probably they're a good thing. You ain't going very far. You can't really run out of charge. And as long as you can charge it at home, it's going to be cheaper than running a petrol. Of course it will be. The only trouble is there's no market for these cars. So anyone want to go a distance, they're pointless. Because you've got who has time to stop for an hour to charge up? I don't believe all this bullshit about they'll be able to charge at some point in 5 minutes flat and all this sort of stuff. It won't. You need something like a megatron of power coming into the 1 point charge point to do that. No one gets a megatron of power into 1 point. The grid has to be upgraded so much. It costs trillions to upgrade the grid to any level like that. The truth of the matter is, if there's 12 charging points in a charging station and you're the only person there, you may well be able to charge your car in 20 minutes flat, 25 minutes. Because all of the energy available to that grid is coming to your car. But if you pull up and there's 11 people already there and you're the 12th person, you could be there 3 hours because you're now sharing this same source. So it's now being split. Whatever power's coming into that grid there is being shared between 12 cars. So you don't know when you've got an electric car. The only one thing you do know is you've got to charge up every 100 miles or so because they don't go very far if you want to have the radio on and live like a human being, not a caveman. But what you don't know is when you get there, how long it's going to take, and even whether there's going to be a charger or a charger that works. Because obviously people have realised there's some heavy duty copper in these things, so they do get raided and broken up more often than not. There's not enough charge in the system. But if you've got it at home, you can plug it in and all the rest of it. Of course, you've got to deal with the fire risk because even insurance companies have cottoned on now that it's a higher risk to have an electric charging point and charge electric cars within confines of your house. Certainly if you put it in the garage, most insurers won't insure your house whilst it's being charged, whilst it's parked in the garage. A lot of them are now suggesting that you have to have the car parked a certain distance away from the house at all times, whether charging or not, because there is a massive fire risk. And the thing with electric cars, there's no warning. When the battery cells go, they just go. And they burn at 300 degrees centigrade, which basically, if you are inside the car, they're designed to lock and shut. Once the electric goes off, that's it. Nothing's moving, so you can't get out the damn thing. And they've found people in there completely incinerated. There's nothing left. It burns the bones. It's like being cremated. And that happens rather more often than they're actually willing to admit. There's plenty of things you can find. If you look for actual local news reports, you'll find lots and lots of situations where these cars have gone up. Very, very dangerous. But they can't sell them. And they come out every week. Oh, yeah, this month we've had this month, that month, all the rest of it. Then why are dealers discounting? I was contacted the other day. Well, not contacted. I was chatting to a dealer the other day. Happens to be a main dealer for a firm. I'm not going to say who it is. And they offered me 60% off a brand new car. Because I said, well, what are you selling them for? What are you selling your cars for? And he said, well, I can offer you 60% off if you buy one today. Because he's got to hit a target. He's giving 12 grand away if he doesn't sell a car. You've got to give the government 12 grand for everyone he hasn't hit on his target. So basically he's giving these cars away. He just wants them off the lot because as long as he gets a registration, that's it. And they're making the difference up because petrol cars and diesel cars are so popular. He can sell basically 3 for every 1 electric vehicle he sells. So he tries to get rid of an EV so he can basically sell the petrols and the diesels because that's where he makes his money. That's the only thing keeping him afloat. If he couldn't sell any petrol or diesel, he'd already be out of business. Because he can't sell the petrol car, the electric cars. He can't sell them. Nobody wants them. The only people buying them are fleets where they get all the tax incentives, which are dying out. They're stopping them. Once, if they take away those incentives, their electric car market's finished. Lease companies are now getting to a point in a problem where suddenly they're realising that these cars are coming back on that they've leased out. And when they do a lease, they work out, say, right, we're buying a car in for 50 grand. We estimate the car's going to be worth 25 when we get it back. So we got to fund the 25 plus interest and some profit in between. And that's why your monthly payment is calculated. And they've got all these cars out there have started to come back now because they're getting 3 years old. And what these leasing companies have realised, when they come back, they ain't worth 25 grand. It's a second-hand EV. You might be lucky, it might be worth 15 grand or 10 grand. But you can't sell them because nobody wants them. So even though they're supposedly worth that money, they ain't really, because it could take you months to sell. I've seen stuff on Auto Trader's been on sale for 3 years. Second-hand EVs. Nobody wants them. With barely any miles on, but nobody's buying them. Because once you've got a second-hand one, how can you trust the battery? Because there's no reliable test of batteries. You can get a battery test that will give you an idea, but it's not conclusive. And they wouldn't guarantee it. So there's no value to them. So these lease companies go, well, hold on a minute. We've got to realise a loss of, I don't know, say £10,000, £15,000 per car it comes back. Shit, we do that, we go bust. So they're now offering 3-year-old lease cars out as a quick, cheap 1-year lease. Pardon me, basically just so they don't have to carry on. They don't have to realise the debt on their books. And they're allowing people to carry on paying. Because once the car's not come back, they don't have to realise the loss yet, because they haven't lost it. They've still got money coming in. But at some point it's going to come back, isn't it? At some point. And they're going to lose the money. And the lease car market is absolutely terrified, because they reckon it's going to hit the fan. And again, a lot of lease companies will go bust as a result. So, another market. So what does the government do? Their answer to it, don't reduce the mandate and sort of say, look, you can buy what you want. We'd like you to buy an electric car, but please only buy one if it makes sense for you. Like if it's local journeys you're doing, you can charge your own, that kind of thing. No. What they do is say, well, we're going to give you 3,750 quid off, or up to 10%. We'll give you that as from the taxpayer's going to pay it, mind. So people who don't want electric vehicles are now paying for other people to have their electric vehicles. But what are the manufacturers going to do? They're just going to not offer as much discount themselves. So whereas my mate is offering 60% off, he's going to say, well, I'll put 50% of that in. The other 10% is the government's paying that. The taxpayer's paying that. So it might help him stay afloat a little bit longer. No one's going to see it. No one else going to see it. And they say, oh yeah, but it's only for vehicles made mainly in Britain. They got a list of things you've got to have made in Britain. Most of these cars, they might be assembled in Britain in some cases, but they're not using components made in Britain. All the batteries, almost without fail, are made in China. And that is 50% of the value of the car, straight away. Porsche, to replace a battery, 50 grand on an £100,000 car. And that's just Porsche. Don't kid yourselves. A cheap Renault for 30 grand, the battery part is still 15 if you want to replace it. Ain't no cheaper than that. So it's half the value of the car. So half the value of the car is made in China. They now subsidising Chinese cars now, are they? Because ultimately these cars are Chinese as far as I'm concerned. And it's your tax money that's paying for that. Your tax money. China's laughing. China have got 3.5 million unsold electric vehicles stashed away on airports and runways, God knows what, everywhere, all over the country. 3.5 million. They reckon the manufacturers in China, there's 740 odd at the moment, manufacturers in China. They reckon by the end, there's only going to be 7, because they go out of business all the time. Because nobody wants electric cars. So they're making them, they tend to pump them out, hoping to sell them, ship them out. But if nobody buys them, those companies just go bust. Chinese government don't care. It's communist. They don't give a shit. They're really interested in the money they make off the ones they do make. So they don't care, because they just lock up the people that lost the money. They just lock them up. They just put them in prison doing hard labour. They don't give a shit over there. They're not like us. They don't care. So electric cars failing, as usual. So let's get on with the government, shall we? That's always good fun. Starmer, still the most hated man in Britain. He's probably hated a bit more than he was yesterday, because I think you always, every time you see him, you get a little bit more loathing for that man. I mean, he just looks... I just find him disgusting to look at, because I know that he's such a weirdo privately. He just looks like the sort of person that, down a pub, nobody would sit with him. He'd sit in the corner looking at dodgy websites, sipping a warm beer, dreaming about Ukrainian boys, and people to stay away from him, and you'd be told, stay away from weirdo Keir. You wouldn't want to bother with him. He sounds like a moron, doesn't he, with his nasally, pathetic voice. I mean, you can imagine he was a prefect at school, head boy or something like that, and used to tell all his mates off for running in the corridor and all that shit, because he wanted a little bit of power over the boys. Probably offer spankings at lunchtime, probably knowing him. But professionally, well, I mean, he's a typical human rights lawyer. A complete. He's detached. He has no clue. To the Labour Party's mind, everyone's going. I mean, they had some councillor, some woman up north, the other day at a rally, surrounded by all these looked like immigrants. They might not have been immigrants, I suppose. It might have just been the way they dress, but certainly by people who look of foreign descent. And she's there going, we don't just want 10,000 a day, we want 20,000, 30,000. We want saturation in this country of invaders. It's so stupid that I think people don't actually realise how evil it is to allow what they're doing. You can't have wide open borders, no checks, anybody turn up. Here you are, here's a few quid a month, here's a nice hotel to stay in, all your bills paid. Oh, by the way, you ain't got an iPhone? Oh, here you are, have the latest one. 16 here, 1,500 quid mine normally. You can't do that. You can't have tens of thousands of people coming in every year, every month, and just give them everything for nothing. They're not contributing to nothing. And all these idiots go, oh, they do contribute. No, they fucking don't. They don't contribute anywhere near what they take. Don't talk such bollocks. I can't afford to live in a 5-star hotel every day. And I work fucking hard. So they're damn sure not paying enough into the system to justify what they're getting for free. How's that work? Some of the hotels they're in are fucking £1,000 a night. If you want to go on holiday in those hotels, not that you'd ever go back to those hotels. I mean, they're going to get boycotted out there. They're finished, aren't they? This is their last hurrah. Any hotel that is agreed to do a contract with the government on migrants, I'm afraid in the future, once the migrants move out, I would imagine that most Brits with any common sense, with any sense of patriotism, will actually say, okay, well, thanks very much for doing that for the country, you're out. And those places will close, because who's going to want to stay there? Who's going to want to support a business that actually acted against the best interests of Britain? Because that's what it is. If you help the government to do what they're doing, you are acting against the will of the majority of people in this Britain, and that's what Labour are missing. When you're elected to a government, you don't do what you want. You do what the people that elected you want. The vast majority of this country, if you ask every individual in this country, if they had a referendum saying, right, do we stop illegal immigration at the borders? Do we employ the Navy to keep the boats out and send them back to France? Something like 90% of people minimum would say, yep, that's what we want. But according to Stalin and all his mates, no, that's not what anybody wants. Everybody wants more. Everybody wants their towns to turn into third world ghettos. Everybody enjoys the knife crime. Everybody enjoys the sexual crimes. Everybody enjoys all the gangs going around. They are having their own inter-gang fights and slashing each other with machetes, chopping bits off left, right and centre, fighting over drugs, fighting over women, fighting over men, fighting over everything else they do. Well, we enjoy that, apparently. We love that. You know, you can't go out with a nice watch on. A friend of mine, very, very weird history. I'm not going to tell you about him. But he's not the sort of person you'd mess with. He knows everybody in a certain mode of life. But even he said to me that he will not go into London now wearing a nice watch. He'll wear a fake watch. And if someone comes up to him and threatens him for it, he just chuck it at him and carry on with his day. He said it's not worth the aggravation to wear one of his Rolexes, Cartiers, Philippe Patek, all the rest of it he's got. He's got watches worth hundreds of thousands. But he wouldn't wear one in London anymore. He would have done 10 years ago, because every time we went out with him, he'd have some different watch on. Remember a platinum Daytona he had on? It was like fucking about 80 grand just in that one little watch. He used to wear it about. He hadn't now. Every time he goes over to China, he's got factories. He goes over to China, he buys half a dozen fake watches. Brings them back, 25 quid each, whatever they are. They look the part. They look the same. They ain't the same, but they look the same. And if he goes into central London, he puts some of those on. Then if he gets mugged, he say, here lads, enjoy it. There you go. They don't realise it's fucking fake till they get it back and check it, or try to sell it and the jeweler tells them. But in the meantime, he saved his arm. He hasn't had anything chopped off or hasn't been killed over it. So, but is this the Britain that we're supposed to want to live in? It's not, is it? And so what it's doing is having an effect. People with money are leaving if they're able to. Not everybody can leave. You can't just drop everything and move to another country and say, well, thanks very much. It's hard to do. Very hard to do. But there's a lot of people doing it, making that hard choice, selling up. What effect does that have? Businesses are leaving. Jobs, therefore, are being affected. People are going out of work. Because if your boss moves to Dubai to live and says, well, I'm going to move the company over there, you can come if you want. Well, that's all right for him as a millionaire. But if you're 25 grand a year working in the warehouse for him, you can't go over to Dubai on 25 grand a year. I mean, you wouldn't be able to afford to actually live anywhere. They probably wouldn't even let you in. Let's face it, you've probably got to have a certain income to get into Dubai to live there, I suspect. I mean, they ain't stupid over there, are they? And that's another thing, you know. The vast majority of these immigrants are Muslim by nature, Islamic migrants. And, I mean, I know lots of Muslims. I've got no problems with any Muslims that, you know, I've met in the past. But the ones that are coming in on these boats are not the general Muslim, that is like a settled Muslim, someone who's chosen to come and settle properly, you know, moved over, all official, because they've got an incentive. They want to be official. They've got to do things properly, and they're happy to do things properly. Those people, no one has any issues with those people. No one. I don't think even the worst of the protesters would have a problem with those kind of people. But the ones that are invading, the ones that are turning up because they want the money, they have no intention of turning up here to do anything of benefit to the country. They want to carry on their life they had in where they came from, but here. And they want to turn here into there. You know? They come over here, they say, well, you know, in our country, women can't speak, there's no freedom, blah, 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 blah. The Sharia law and is this, that, and the other. Okay, what do you want here? Well, we want Sharia law. We don't want women to be able to talk. We don't want women to be able to show their fucking ankles. So they want to bring it here. Well, no. You don't bring your rules here. I mean, imagine if I went to Dubai and I said, oh, I don't like the rules here. I want to be able to have a drink wherever I want. I don't want to just stay in the international areas where you set it all off. And like, no. I want to have a drink where I want. Well, I mean, I'd only have to do it once, and I'd be in prison. And you wouldn't get a second chance. You go to prison because you're breaking Islamic law. And then when you come out, they throw you straight out of the country. You wouldn't be staying. You might not even end up doing the time there. You might just be sent away, deported to do your time elsewhere. But you ain't going to have a life in Dubai any longer than it took you to take that sip. As soon as you open that can, bang, you'll be in jail. What do we do here? We don't do nothing. We let them get on with it. Oh yeah, Sharia court. Yeah, Sharia courts don't mean nothing here. We'll allow them to carry on, and we aren't going to interfere with anything they're doing or saying, or, you know, the punishments they're meting out on people, all this female genital mutilation and God knows what, they all, you know, all the stuff they sanction, beating of women and no divorces and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, we're not going to do nothing about all that. But you can't have a Sharia law. You can't have Sharia courts. No. That's going too far. We're not going to allow it. No, we won't allow it. But we do allow it. We do allow it. You know why? Because it's votes. Because Muslims aren't stupid. That's the thing, they ain't stupid. You'd never assume any Muslim is stupid. They're very, very clever people. And when they're of a mind to come into the country with a view to changing it, they look for the weak-minded people that they can manipulate. And they've worked out that they can manipulate left-wing people, socialist people. They can use all this gender, racial equality crap that they come out with. They can use that to their advantage. If they play to the strengths, if they play to all these phobias that people have, and oh yeah, we're very downtrodden, we're this, that and the other, they'll get a protection from the left wing. They'll be protected no matter what. They could be stood there basically hanging someone in the background, and the left wing will still support them. They'll still support them. They don't care, because all you got to say is, oh, you know, we feel that British people don't really accept us very much. Like, oh yeah, they're bloody racist. Yeah, get on to them. No one's bloody racist. This isn't nothing to do with race. It's nothing to do with race, but it has everything to do with a group of people, a pattern of people that are coming into the country. And it just so happens that their pattern ends up being defined because they all have a similar religion. And that's not racist to notice it. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. But the thing is, what we've got to do is say, look, no one should come in illegally. Doesn't matter what religion you are, what colour you are, it doesn't matter where you come from. No one comes in illegally. We put a stop on it. Complete stop on it. You come in legally and apply properly through a port of entry, and you sign up and you follow the bloody rules, and if we say you've got to go, you go. And you don't go out there where you're put until such time as you're told you can go out, or you don't come. Simple as that. There's got to be a rule. There's got to be a full stop. And what they've got to do is have a hiatus, ideally. Is you can't apply for asylum here. You can't apply for anything here for, I don't know, a year. And in that year, we need to use that year to track down the ones that have come in illegally, track them all down, put them somewhere it doesn't cost fucking £500 a night to put them up in a 5-star hotel, find somewhere we can put them, much like they've created a prison in America where they can all go, a detention centre where they can all go. It's comfortable, it's air conditioned, they get good food, but it costs something like $30 a night to have them there. That's what we want. Put them there and work out should they be here or not. Have a fast track system where we can say, right, you've either got an asylum claim or you haven't. Is your country at war? No, you're home. You go home. Next boat. Right, next one. Is there a war in your country? Yeah. But are we on your side? No. Fucking home then. Fucking home. Simple as that. We've got to go through them and work it out quickly and get the country back to a level place. We've got to clean up. The councils have got to be told, stop spending money on DEI and bullshit and LGBTQ crap and all the rest of it. Sack the £100,000 a year DEI directors they've all got. Have that money back. Spend the council tax on clearing up the rubbish, cutting the bloody grass, tidying the place up, putting the streetlights on at night. Spend the money where it's necessary. Make this country nice for its people that are paying for it to be nice. Fuck the ones that aren't. Do what you've got to do. If we're paying taxes, we're paying council tax and all the rest of it, we're the ones that should count. We're the ones that should count. I'm sorry, we got to come first. Now I've got every sympathy for people that are fleeing wars, that's fine. But I'd argue that if you're fleeing a war in Sudan, why have you got to go fucking 6,000 miles to Britain when you could go 500 miles across the border to another African country where the culture is going to be very similar to what you've got, but the difference is you're safe there because there's no flaming war. Why can't you go just that distance? Why have you got to come here? How would you even know to come here unless you were told to come here and take advantage? You know, it's either you're frightened of being persecuted and war and danger, or you're traveling for economic reasons. You don't do both. If someone's threatening your life, you're not worried, oh, but I need to drop that, I need to pick that £50 note up before I go. You run for your life, don't you? Maybe you don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if there's a stack of notes on the floor, but someone threatens your life, says, if you don't fuck off, I'm going to kill you. Maybe some people would go back for the money first and then go. But I don't think many would. I think anybody with common sense would immediately run from the danger to the nearest safe place. The nearest one. If the door right 6 foot away is open and safe to safety, you'd run through that door. What you wouldn't do is say, oh no, that door's blue. I like red ones. I'll run till I find a red door. You wouldn't do it. You'd go through the blue door. So why ain't they stopping in the next country? Why have they got to come through 10 countries, 15 countries to Britain if you're fleeing a war? You ain't going to, are you? And it'll be funny, I wouldn't want to live in Dubai because I wouldn't mix with the culture very well. So I wouldn't consider living there because I wouldn't mix. Whereas America, I'd love to live there because things are how I'm used to things being. Surely when you consider countries you want to go to, one of the things you try and think about is, will I fit in? Will I enjoy life there? Because just because someone puts a few quid in your pocket, surely, if you're in a completely alien culture where things are not done the way you want it to be done, you know, you like your food halal, they aren't halal when they prepare their food, makes life ever so difficult. I mean, I feel sorry for migrants that come here because they have got to fit, you know, that's the point. You've got to try and fit in. But that's the privilege of coming, isn't it? You should want to fit in. If I went to America, I'd want to fit in. I want to do all the nationality tests and all the rest of it to get my cards, because you want to be a part of what they've got. You see the culture, you want to be part of that culture. You know, if you come into a Christian country, you should want, ideally, to lead. You don't have to be Christian, but you should have an understanding of where the culture is guided by, probably underneath those Christian values. You've got to be able to agree with them. If you don't, then you're going to be butting your head against a brick wall most days of the week, aren't you? So why would you want to come? Just doesn't make any sense. And we've got to sort it out. We've got to get an equilibrium. We can't take as many people as we're getting. That's all it is. We just can't take enough people. Don't matter what reasons. We've just got to say enough's enough. There's a point where this country is going to break financially. And with Labour in charge, that's going to come a whole lot fucking quicker than anybody else was in charge. So, you know, we've got to sort it out. But then Labour, you know, like I say, Labour, they just don't see the writing on the wall, do they? They don't understand it. They don't understand British people. They think they represent British people, but they don't. They represent a very tiny proportion of very weirdly minded people. And they think that's the way they think is normal, and that we should all just follow along. They think, Keir Starmer probably thinks, Steve Harvey, what's he moaning about? It must be a comedy skit. He can't be that pissed off. He must love what we're doing. Because I do. That's how he acts. As though he's fucking oblivious to it. Prancing about wearing an army jacket. So, I want to be, you know, our army this, our army that. The army don't want to fight for people like you, mate. They don't want to be chucked into the deep end. They're there to defend us if we have a problem. But they want you winding up fucking Putin, trying to send him into the meat grinder to fight Putin to make mincemeat of us. We ain't got enough army to fucking fight any wars. We get our ass kicked if we went into fucking Grenada these days, let alone anywhere else. Well, maybe not Grenada, but, you know, any sensible army of any size, we're going to have a problem. Because as clever and good as our troops are, there's only so many of them. They can't fight everybody. You know, you get a hard nut walking the pub. If he's on his own, he might get past 2 or 3 of the hard people in the pub. But he's going to get his ass kicked, isn't he, at some point? Because there's going to be more people. And that's what our army will find. So why wind it up? Putin didn't want to come here anyway. Putin's laughing at us. Look at a country where 20% of the youth don't know if they're a boy or a girl. supposedly. I mean, they could look down and see their cock, but they still don't know if they're a boy or a girl, apparently. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous, isn't it? You're one or the other. That's it, as far as I can see. Now, you can think what you want in private, and nobody's interested. The thing is, nobody cares what you think you are. Nobody gives a shit. It don't occurs. Everybody, oh, people are transphobic, people are this, people are that these days. No, they're not. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit what you think. You wander about in a dress all you want. It don't bother me. I couldn't care less. I only give a damn when you try and enforce it on me. If you try and make me celebrate Pride Month or something. Because I ain't into all that. I ain't going to celebrate it. There's nothing to be proud of as far as I'm concerned. So, that's it. But just leave us all be. Let us alone. But Putin's looking at the country thinking, look at the fucking mess there. Look at all this crap. They let boys compete in women's sports. They don't celebrate victories. They don't celebrate strength. They don't celebrate anything that makes the West. We're no longer allowed to celebrate it. We're no longer allowed to be proud of it. And Putin's just laughing. You know, this must be one of the weakest countries there is. And Europe, I mean, Europe's finished regardless. Europe is absolutely finished. All the crap rules they come out with, they won't let them move. I mean, we're lucky we're out. And everything, Labour, trying to get us back into Europe by the back door. They're trying not to tell us they're going to do it, because it'd be a breach of the Brexit referendum. Whether they like it or not, we voted out. But they're trying to close the links up. So we are European in all but name. We won't be part of the EU Union, but we will be, sort of thing. That's what they're trying to do. And that's not what we want. Britain doesn't want that. We never wanted that. We voted against it. So that's the end of it. That should be the end of it. Nobody should have any other say in it. But they're trying to reverse it. It's just constantly they're basically letting us down. They're bowing down to every other country in the world. Anybody wants to say anything to us, we let them say it, we let them do it, we let them have us over. Look at France. They're making millions out of us. They ain't stopped the fucking boat. Their life depending on it. They probably can't. Let's face it, the French are useless, aren't they? Absolutely useless. You've got no time for the French. But Macron and his husband, when they come over here, just capitulated straight away. Starmer. Oh yeah, you can have what you want. What would you like us to do? Oh yeah, we'd do that for you. Would you want us to pay us? Do you want us to pay you as well for upsetting us? Okay, we'll send you some money so you can tuck us up and have some money off us. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, lovely job. Well done, Keir. You twat. Anyway, I think that's enough of a rant. Oh, before I go. Obama. Cool, lovely. So obviously we know that no one's above the law. No one. No one's ever above the law. So they went after President Trump. Obviously in 2016 it was the Russia collusion, which eventually was proven to be false. But they fought to try and keep that alive for as long as they could, just to disrupt his presidency, really, make it null and void. Then obviously we had all sorts of crap ever since. And then they tried to do over 34 convictions for a fraud that never happened, where the bank he supposedly defrauded turned up in court on President Trump's behalf and said, no, we were chuffed to bits with the deal. We made a load of money. We're lending money again. We like lending him money because he always pays us back. So, you had E. Jean Carroll, who made up a rape allegation. She didn't know when it happened. She didn't know where it... Well, she knew where it happened, but she didn't know the exact time it happened or day it happened. She couldn't prove it happened. She had no witnesses to it happening. She's as ugly as sin. I mean, she's got a face like a smacked arse. But supposedly, the man who can have the most beautiful women in the world, because he's got that much money, women, unfortunately, girls, go for money sometimes, and can pull the sort of people... Look at Melania. How beautiful is Melania? Jesus Christ. Supermodel. Even now at her age, she could be a supermodel. Quite happily. She's stunning. And this guy who can pull birds like that, who's got them coming out of his ear holes. Every time he walked out in New York, girls flocked to him and offer themselves to him, right? But E. Jean Carroll, face like a smacked arse. Honestly, she is so ugly, it's ridiculous. She says he did a horrible thing to her in some party in New York, but nobody saw it, nobody knew about it. She never told nobody about it. She never did anything about it. She got no proof whatsoever of it happening. She can't tell you the time it happened or the day it happened, but she knows it happened, apparently. It's bullshit, isn't it? Absolute bullshit. So she's getting sued, obviously. But they did all that to him, but now the icing's on the cake, in it. They've actually found the evidence. Not the lies and the bullshit like Adam Schiff tells all the time, makes up as he goes along, like Keir Starmer does, makes up as he goes along, tells lies, and there's never any proof of anything. Like when Keir Starmer talks about the far right. It turns out there's zero far right. It's fantastic news, wasn't it? But he claimed, well, all reports say far right, but there was no reports, was there? There was no actual corroborating evidence. He just said it because at the time it made a soundbite. And the BBC, obviously, because they're liars and charlatans anyway, tried to run with it. But so they've now found evidence, though. The actual evidence, emails, meetings, all the information, all the names of the players, who was involved, what they did, what they didn't do, when they did it, when the meetings were held, where they were held. All the evidence that Barack Hussein Obama was actually directing the Russia collusion, making sure that it was spread, knowing full well that it was a load of lies and absolute bullshit. He was spying on the campaign of Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton in 2016. They were spying on the campaign, and they continued to spy on him afterwards. They colluded against people on the Trump cabinet. They colluded against people around Trump, against his family, and tried to make his life a misery. And he's been caught. Now he's tried to deny it. He's tried to come out with some... Oh, if you read the statement, he didn't really say anything. He kind of contradicts himself within the statement. And even at the end, when he says he didn't do it, he says he didn't do it by trying to say that the Russian collusion was true, which we already know is a fact it wasn't. It's been proven in a court of law that it was not true. So he continues to lie in his own defence. So I think that, I mean, do you think they'll jail a former president like that for treason? I find it hard to believe they'll find judges willing to hear the case. But I think there'll be a footnote in history now as a result that Barack Obama, the great hero of the left, he's going to go down in history as a rather questionable president. Same with Joe Biden's going to go down as the first the first president with Alzheimer's. You know, I mean, the guy didn't do anything for 4 years of his term. He couldn't. He's mentally incapacitated. We knew that before he even got the vote, let alone anything else. He never had 81 million votes. Anybody who believes that is stupid. 81 million votes. I mean, if that were true, 20 million voters decided not to vote last time out because Trump still got the same as he did before, but Harris got 20 plus million less than Joe Biden. Where'd they go? Because there's more people in America now, so really they should have got more votes, if anything. I mean, they could have got 85 million if they'd all have voted, and their friends who'd come across the borders for, illegally, if they'd have voted as well. Because let's face it, sanctuary cities, they give you a card just to enable you to vote, even though you're illegal, you're voting in elections. So they're going to stop that, so that's good. I mean, the Democrat Party are already finished. I mean, they're not going to win the next election because they ain't got enough voters anymore, because the illegals can't vote anymore. It's going to be hilarious. But yeah, so Obama's in trouble. And as a man, you think, well, he's probably a nice chap. He seems personable enough, doesn't he? He talks well. He seems intelligent, but obviously behind the scenes he's conniving, vindictive, and the worst thing about it, he's anti-America. That's what it shows. He's anti-America. He doesn't like America for what she is and what she's became, having been formed in 1776, to be the way it was, the way it is. obviously he doesn't like that, and he wanted to change it. He wanted to turn it into a socialist system. Nobody in America wants socialism. Nobody here wants socialism. But these governments come in, they try and change things against the will of the people. And that's why it doesn't work. That's why it causes division. That's why people have uprisings and protests and everything else. It all kicks off. Because you're trying to force people to do what they don't want to do, and they don't want to. If we don't believe in it, we're not going to follow it. Simple as that. Anyway, it's enough from me. I hope some of this long form was rang some truth. I thought I'd try and have a bit of a rant and have a go. It's early in the morning. So yeah, please like, share and subscribe. Obviously make comments. I don't mind if they're really, if you want to have a pop at me, if you want to laugh along with me, have a sarcastic ones. I love the sarcastic stuff. You get sarky one back. But yeah, please engage, because I just it'd be nice to know, and also know what rings true and what if I get it wrong. Tell me why. Explain to me. I'm open to discussion. That's what the world's about. I don't mind debating with anybody. So yeah, have a lovely day. Have a lovely weekend. Have a lovely time. Hopefully, weather doesn't look too bad today. It doesn't look red hot, but it looks dry. That's the main thing. So should be all right, shouldn't it? Yeah. Have a nice, prosperous day, and we'll talk again. Thank you.